Fission radio show with your host, Lonnie Clark. We stand together and accept that we now live in a world transformed by Fukushima. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time here on UCY.TV radio. We relentlessly engage every ear that listens. We expose and confront the complete lack of accountability for the nuclear industry. Consider social engineering programs who view our bodies, minds, and souls as assets on a balance sheet. We discuss vital current issues, interview activists, and engage our audience in an effort to allow all voices to be heard. The Age of Fission radio show creates a venue that all will choose. We encourage our listeners to reclaim their power and their courage to take action and save our planet from the ravages of greed and indifference. Our actions matter. Every voice matters. We remind our listeners that happiness is resistance. Love is greater than fear. Good morning, UCY.TV radio listeners. This is Lonnie Clark with the Age of Fission radio show. Thank you for joining us. Today is June 13th, 2017. It's 8 o'clock in the morning here on the West Coast. I want to thank you for sharing our radio station. As you know, we're online, so you have to tell your friends that we're online. They can't find us when they turn on their car, unless they have their car plugged into the internet, that is. Anyways, I want to tell you that I do appreciate you joining us and sharing my show and our station with your friends and family so we can grow and be competitive with the liars out there. So anyways, this morning we have a guest this morning that's become a friend of our show, a little bit of calmness to our show. It's Crow. He's a shamanic practitioner. I thought I'd ask him back. He's about to go to Mongolia. We've talked about this a couple times. Welcome to the show, Crow. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, Lonnie. Thanks for having me back.
Yeah. So I want to get right into this because my notes say we're going to talk about the post-Mongolia trip, but I really want to talk to you about your trip on your website. It looks pretty awesome. Shamanicvoyages.com. This is just for shamanic practitioners, correct?
Right. We want anyone who joins our trips to have some level of shamanic training, largely because I've had an experience in the past where some people have come on a trip similar to the ones that we put on, and some of them were unprepared, and it was less than positive experience for them. This isn't vacation travel. It's educational, and sometimes it can be kind of grueling, too, physically and emotionally. So I just want to make sure that people are prepared, have some training, and also have something to offer to the cultures that we're visiting.
Well, I'm looking at your website, and it goes from, let's see, the date is June 25th through July 9th, right? And yeah, that is a pretty good long trip, and it looks like a pretty packed trip, but you've posted pictures of what it looks like. It really just looks like a straight plain, like it could be out in the middle of the American plains, really. But what's different is the horses in the yurt. Like, it is still completely 100% rural, it looks like, out there.
Yes, in many ways, it's kind of what you might imagine in the plains back in the mid 1800s in the United States. But instead of teepees, you have the yurts. People have big corrals of horses. Some of the most wonderful horses on earth. That they're healthy, they're fast, they are small, but back in historical times, most of Asia would try to at least get breeding stock from Mongolia because the horses were really superior in health and performance. So these people have been breeding horses forever.
Is that one of their main trades?
Historically, it's something they have a really strong and long connection with, as they have with shamanism as well. In fact, a lot of times they'll equate, those who talk about making spiritual journeys talk about, riding a spiritual horse to another world to receive teaching and so forth. It's so deep in the psyche of the Mongolian people that you can hardly, even in the city, they have horse racing events, and the Nadam Festival, which is a big annual festival, will be taking place right as we conclude our trip this year, and that involves horse racing and demonstrations of horsemanship and so forth.
What is the Nadam Festival? What is that?
Well, it's pretty much their midsummer festival. It happens shortly after the summer solstice. As you are probably aware, in the winter, Mongolia can get to be very, very cold. I'm told that negative 40 degrees Fahrenheit is not uncommon.
Wow.
And during the winter, people are basically working and staying warm, and that's enough to keep you busy. But in the summer, when the temperatures go up to the 90s during the day, it's time where people, they can shed some of their layers and let their hair down and get together with people from other areas because there's such nomadic people in general. A lot of the people will leave their encampments and gather for these big festivals, and that way you get to see long lost relatives, people who have married out of your clan, if you will, your family. And old friends, and they have wrestling is one of the national sports. In fact, sumo wrestling may have actually evolved from some of the Mongolian wrestling. It has a very long tradition. They have demonstrations of archery. They oftentimes will have demonstrations of what we know as falconry, but they use eagles because eagles are the local birds. And horse racing, which is generally done with children, because the horses are really, really fast, but the children are light, and a lot of them grow up in the saddle, so they're ready to demonstrate their prowess at a pretty young age. So a lot of this all takes place, during the Nadam Festival when people come from all over the country to join in. We have I know at least one member of our group who's going to stay on for an extra week to take part in it.
Well, it's interesting because I had never really even thought about Mongolia until you and I started talking about it, and you enlightened me about basically the spiritual importance of this place. But what's interesting is that it's in my head, half-educated American. I think of Mongolia as like a little small province, but it's quite a large area in Asia. It's in between Russia and China, and it's quite a very large space of area. Are you going to the central area? It seems to be a large mountain, or what part of this? And it's landlocked. That's the other part. That's the weird part, is it's completely landlocked.
It is indeed, yes. We're going to be in what many people consider to be outer Mongolia, where inner Mongolia would be the area that's closer to China and has had a much stronger political relationship with China over the years. You've heard of the Great Wall. Well, the Great Wall was built for the specific purpose of trying to keep the Mongols at bay.
Wow.
They were nomadic. They were fierce warriors. They were incredibly excellent horsemen, as my last statements might have suggested. And they also are great archers. They were very light, like a light cavalry, and they pretty much would beat back the Chinese every time there was a conflict. And it really gave them a very strong position to negotiate from, to have very good trade deals. And the warfare is it's fierce and it's exciting, but it really doesn't stand up to the amount of time that trade actually rules. But they get themselves in a very strong position politically to control the trade routes back and forth, and through Mongolia. You've heard of the Silk Road. Well, the Silk Road is basically the gate between Europe and Asia. So they pretty much controlled all the great wealth that went through from one place to the other. Genghis Khan, is a very familiar figure. He is the one who united virtually all of the tribes of Mongolia and really, led to making it a world power at that time. So Outer Mongolia was under, until recently, was under the Soviet Union rule, whereas Inner Mongolia was under China. So they do have two kind of very distinct identities now.
Yeah, that's what it's, and even on the Google Maps, there's Chinese and Russian writing. Actually, it's kind of interesting.
Yes, yeah. The alphabet is largely Cyrillic, I guess, and if you speak Russian, you can get around pretty well still, because it was so widely spoken in the part of Mongolia that we're going to be going to. But more and more, English is also spoken because it's one of the major trade languages, and they have opened up, for better and for worse, they've opened up their economy to Westerners as well. And that kind of brings us back to, the other subject we were discussing is a lot of the environmental degradation that's happened since then. And that's something that we want to be part of our message as well, is to bring attention to the fact that water protectors are not just here in the United States. It's a global movement, and very important globally, and alive and well in Mongolia as well.
Well, that's actually true. We don't really have much. I mean, they're very, very separated from the Western world. These are people very, very separated, probably farther than the people even living in China, who are quite westernized in my view. So everything that I've seen on your thing. So this is a thing, they're kind of like one of the world's last indigenous people, aren't they? Like being able to sort of live on their land, and I mean, that's sort of what they're fighting for and they're not actually in conflict, are they? They're just in sort of a cultural clash.
Yeah, it's there are a lot of indigenous cultures that are still intact, but they're one of the few truly nomadic ones.
That's what I meant. I beg your pardon.
Yeah. There's obviously some in the Arab regions. There are people who are traditional nomads and so forth, in much smaller scale, or at least over a much smaller area. Mongolia is a huge area, and roughly half of the population still lives in the traditional way, in the yurts, moving their camps, whenever they need to get new pasture, or certain times of the year they move closer to water, or whatever their motivation is, they just pick up and go, and they've got it down to a science. These yurts, or as they call them, gurs, they can pack them up into a wagon, or sometimes some people actually have a modern vehicle, but they'll pack them up, they'll transport them across country, and then they'll set them up exactly the same way. The doors always facing the same direction. All yurts have a similar way that things are set up. So if you go from one to another, you're pretty much going to know what to expect when you open the door, as far as the way that it's laid out. They'll have an altar and opposite the door. You're not expected to knock when you come up to a stranger's house. You just yell out, "Hold your dog," in Mongolian, and that's enough of an announcement, and then you can just walk right in. And you can expect some of the most wonderful hospitality, from what I'm told. I can give you my personal experience next time we talk, but this is just from my research and so forth. And I'm also meeting people who have, Mongolia is a very large part of their lives, particularly since I've been involved with the Noyon Mountain effort, trying to bring that to people's attention. One of the people that I'm working with, who may be joining us in the future, Aaron, is from Mongolia, and then there are some others. I mentioned Anna Ruth, who is from Switzerland, but she's been very active as well. And it's largely been trying to bring people's attention to what's going on there. It's far away. The West oftentimes doesn't pay attention to anything but the West, but the West is influencing this other country. And as I mentioned before, we really need to be global in our thinking about the ecology.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Well, I'll tell you, it's not that easy to find anything on Noyon Mountain. Like when you Google, it's really pretty whitewashed stuff. So why don't you share real quickly again the struggle of Noyon Mountain and why it's important?
Okay, well,
just to kind of
right
remind
now,
our listeners.
Yeah, sure. Well, right now, Noyon Mountain is administered by the local independent Mongolian government, but there are foreign interests, particularly mining interests, and in the most visible case, mining interests from Canada called, I have to reach for this, Centerra is the name. They have been receiving permission from time to time to carry on strip mining. There are a lot of trace elements that, in many ways are becoming more and more important with today's lifestyle for computer components and batteries and so forth. And of course, the ever-present gold, which is a big motivator. And rather than doing the traditional, shaft mines like we think of here in the United States, they are using, strip mining techniques, which are far more machinery intensive, takes less people to do it, and they mine vast quantities of material. And while they're doing that, they're disturbing the naturally occurring arsenic in the soil, which is getting into watersheds. They are, using, mercury and things like that in the process of extracting ore, and basically leaving a terrible scar behind when they move on, because they're not forced to do reclamation efforts like we would expect to see here. Doesn't even always happen up on this side of the globe. But, and in addition to that, when they leave, they don't get everything. They get everything that is economically feasible for them to take, and then they move on. And then some of the displaced nomads whose water supplies are ruined and they can't carry on their traditional way of life, they get involved in what's become known as ninja mining, where they basically go in with no safety equipment and they pick up, tailings, stuff that was missed by the big miners, and a lot of lives are lost, and a lot of people are poisoned, and unfortunately, oftentimes children get involved as well, and a tragedy is a tragedy, but when a tragedy happens to a child, it's just that much, more heart-wrenching. So, because of these things, and also because Noyon Mountain is also spiritually significant and culturally significant, people are becoming very, very concerned about, the direction this is moving. Sometimes things look like they're going to get a little better. There'll be areas set aside, but most often it's too little too late. And sometimes there's a setback as well. And I think that the only thing that makes these things get better is to shine the light of day on them, and let people see what's going on, and give them an avenue to express their concern, or if necessary, their outrage. And in this case, I think there's good reason for outrage. The Noyon Mountain watershed is it's a vast region, and it basically is what feeds Lake Baikal, which is the world's single greatest source of fresh water. We have the Great Lakes, that holds a lot of water, but this lake is so deep that just the one lake has more water, more fresh water than anywhere else. You continue to pour toxins into it, and it's going to affect everything. It's like it can be compared to the Fukushima unending source of radiation going into the ocean. we have an unending source of toxins being washed through the watershed, into Lake.
Wow. Crow, are you there? Well, that was interesting, folks. That was pretty interesting. Let me see if I can give him a call back. Hold on just 1 second. Somehow we got disconnected. So I wonder if he even is aware that he is disconnected. I'll try to give him a call back. Hold on. Let's see if that works. Okay. Well, this is really interesting. I was looking at the map, and if you look at the map of what Noyon Mountain is, you can actually see the eyesore of this really terrible, terrible mining operations. I don't seem to be able to get through to him, so the call has failed. Let me see if I can try a different one. Hold on, let's try this. See if that works. I don't think that works either. It doesn't seem to be working. Oh, the joys of live radio. So hold on tight, folks. Something happened to our phone call with Crow. He was right in the middle of explaining something pretty awesome. And it didn't really work. So that doesn't work. Let me try this. Try that number. See what happens. Well, I guess I'm going to have to, maybe he'll call back. I did give him the phone number. So we'll see if we can get in touch with him. But what I'll do is I'll just jump right over to his website and I can share this with you because this is pretty interesting.
Reach 508.
No, that is definitely not him. Definitely not him. Well, folks, I do not think that we're going to make this connection with Crow again. I keep attempting to give him a call, and it certainly does not seem to be working. Let me try it one more time. Maybe he can call back. It says the call failed. The call has failed. So maybe he will call me back. Try that one. Nope. I think his phone line must have been disconnected somehow. Because every phone line that I have attempted to call is not working. Sorry to put you through this, folks. Doggone it. Well, it's what we call character building days, isn't it? So we'll hopefully, maybe he'll give us a call back. Nope. Nope. No and no. No, no, and no is not working. Well, what I'm going to do is just read from their website because it's a pretty amazing journey that they're doing. This website is called shamanicvoyages.com, and it talks about their Mongolia project. And the Mongolia program invites you to discover Mongolian through Mongolian shamanism. So what they do is they share practices. I guess this is the interesting statement. We will be sharing shamanic practices, ceremonies, rituals to honor spirits in Mother Earth, spirits in capital S and Mother Earth in capital M and E. In this land, the shamans, we invite you to join us for 2 weeks in the beautiful country of Mongolia and the spiritual culture. Oh my goodness. And you know what? I actually did look around quite a bit for some information on the Noyon Mountain, mountaintop removal. And this is how tight it is. This is how you know that it's inside Russian or Chinese control, because there is No information about Noyon Mountain. At least I can't seem to find it with an easy search. Let me see if we can do it again. Sometimes when you keep looking, you don't hear that no. Mining. I'm just going to put in Noyon Mountain strip mining. Oh, great. That worked. Mongolia's Sutton Hoo threatened by Canadian mine. Wow, that's 2015, and here we are in 2017. And they are doing mountaintop removal. So let's see what this, I'm going to open up this thing that says, there is actually a link that says Save Noyon Mountain. And it is savenoyonmountain.com. And there is a story here from January 21st, 2015. This is where all of our gold comes from, folks. This is why we have just got to stop this lust for things. A bid by Canadian gold mining company to strip mine part of northern Mongolia protected Noyon Mountain Forest, which includes the country's cultural equivalent to England's Sutton Hoo site or Egypt's pyramid, is causing outrage in the country. So they are actually strip mining it. They went ahead with it. Wow. The plan to strip mine the beautiful Noyon Mountains, where some 20 graves of senior Asian Hun, also called the Chinese Xianggu, dating from the 3rd century BC, are to be found, which means the country would lose an iconic burial similar to England's Sutton Hoo, as well as a protected area of natural beauty and key habitat of snow leopards and unique wildlife, according to the Azaz release. Wow. And this picture, they show a step down tomb of one of the Humuk leaders from that area. This is really sad. So they're just like murder, death, kill, just destroy everything. Let's see if we can add him back in. Hold on just one second. He's calling us. Good morning, Crow. Are you back with us? Crow, are you back with us? Hello? Let's see. Crow, are you back with us? No, that call did not work either. Bummer, dude. These are not working. Okay, well, I'm going to go back to what I was doing. Hold on. I think I need to get a plug-in so I can play music when the Skype messes up. Crow, are you with us? I see him on the line, but I certainly don't hear him. So I guess I'm going to keep reading. I'm just going to go back to what I was doing. And if Crow, if you can hear me, just please feel free to pop back in. See what happens there. Bummer. That is a serious bummer. Well, I know that Crow is leaving for this journey on the 23rd of June, which is just next week. They are leaving June 26th through July 9th. Beg your pardon. So, okay, folks, so I'm back on, and I have been unable to connect with Crow. Sorry for the silence there, and we're having, I don't know what has been going on with my connection to Skype in the last few days. Crow, are you back with us? Nope. Crow is gone, folks. Let me see if I can give him a call on his phone line. Goodness gracious, I think we had like 4 minutes of dead minutes there, didn't we? Well, that call failed, so I'm just going to go back. Let's see if I can connect with Jules on the... I don't think she even pays attention, so I don't know if that's even worth the effort. But let's see what she says. Nope. So let me just give you guys the number, and let's see if we can connect a phone call or two if somebody wants to call in, because we certainly have lost Crow. So we have about a half an hour to go. It's 718-717-8106 if anyone wants to give us a call. And let's see if we can connect you. Maybe that's the issue with Skype. Maybe it has to do with these Skype connections. So we'll just see. I think this issue about what's going on in Mongolia speaks to the wider issue of the conflict that we're having economically. As has been highlighted, humans have been on this planet for hundreds of thousands of years. It's our economy, it's our economic policy that's killing us. We basically live in an economy and in a world where if the market, it's driven by the market. This is the whole big thing. This is the thing that the GOPers are telling us about, the market, the insurance market. It's going to take care of itself. Well, the problem with the insurance market not taking care of itself is the profit margin, just like here on Mongolian Mountain with the Mongolians, with the Noyon Mountain. This Canadian government, this Canadian company is basically raping and pillaging what used to be a sacred site in Mongolia. It's akin to, it's almost as if this article says that it's akin to allowing would be allowing the pyramids to be bulldozed. It's unimaginable. The place where they're strip mining to get this Canadian company is going to strip mine an area in the Noyon Mountain forest, which includes the country's equivalent to England's Sutton Hoo site or the Egypt's pyramids, and is causing outrage in the country. But there's only 3 million people in the country, so I guess they don't have that big strong of a voice, even if all of them came out, which all of them will not. And if you take a really quick look on the Google Maps at Noyon Mountain, Noyon Mountain, and you just put that in, Noyon Mountain, Mongolia, it'll take you right to it. And if you go on to the talk about the strip mining, they don't even try to hide it. You can like zoom in and take a look. You can just see the little white spots. They've basically just left a trail of destruction everywhere they went, and you can easily see it. Crow was just talking about how it's destroying the watershed into one of the largest freshwater water resources on the planet. And it's very obvious. If you go to the Google, you can actually see that that's exactly what they're doing. So at what point do humans decide we've had enough, that we don't need more gold? We don't need to keep extracting from our Mother Earth. At what point are we going to rise up and say, no, this economy of murder, death, kill, and, let's take everything from you so that I can have everything has got to end? I don't know. So the number is 718-717-8106 if somebody wants to give us a call. I don't know if we can even receive phone calls. To be honest, mostly because we had a phone call and it got disconnected unexpectedly. I have no idea what happened, and we have not been able to even communicate. So something is not right in Denmark here, but that's okay. Something's not right in Denmark anyways. That's why we're on the radio every day, because something is not right. The world is really literally collapsing around us. When they talk to us about it's not that bad. Yeah, it's actually pretty bad. We've got strip mining. We've got really the destruction of one of the last nomadic cultures on our planet. And we're just doing it so that a Canadian company can extract all of the gold out of this. It's I guess this is called market forces, right? This is what they call market economics. So they're market-based programs. So what they're trying to do is set up market-based programs to encourage people not to pollute. But as we've seen, how is that actually going? You know, I mean, I have to say that while this is going on, we're not even talking about like the real destruction on our planet, which is Fukushima and Chernobyl and Hanford and Diablo Canyon. So this is how the nuclear industry rolls. In San Onofre, they're having discussions about where the waste will be managed. And San Onofre is in San Diego County, close to San Diego County. They are going to have a meeting about it in Malibu, about 80 miles north of there. So people actually have to travel 80 miles north. It's like it's so unconscionable that people have gone to sleep and are not actively engaging in this. And I was defending it yesterday with Sheila Parks when we were talking about how even I didn't know. I know there's millions of people who really have no idea. And they resist knowing. That's the thing. That's why they don't want to talk to us, because they resist knowing. They don't want to hear it. It's just way too much. I mean, it's a cacophony of bad news, more and more and more bad news. And so people just can't take it. This is why Trump keeps beating us up. I mean, I don't know if anybody's listening, but while we're paying attention to Trump lying his rear end off about making a profit off the Russians, it's pretty obvious that's what he's done. I don't think he's a straight up traitor. I just think he's a greedy traitor. The Republicans are ramming through a healthcare plan that is going to knock off millions of very poor people off of Medicaid and Medi-Cal, Medicaid and Medicare. So they're knocking out billions of dollars out of those programs. I think they said 16 million people are going to be very, very poor people are going to be knocked off of health care. Very poor people. We're not talking about people like me. I'm an insurance protester. I'm not going to buy health care for profit. And this is why this conversation about Noyon Mountain is exactly why. A bid by a Canadian gold mining company to strip mine part of the Northern Mongolians' protected Noyon Mountain forest, which includes the country's equivalent to England's Sutton Hoo site or Egypt's pyramids, is causing outrage in the country. And why is that? Why do we have to accept that? The question on this website asks this question: why must we preserve Noyon Mountain of Mongolia? Due to the culture and global significance of the Noyon Mountain and the environmental impact of mining, we need to protect it from any destruction. Current mining activities includes erosion, formation of sinkholes, loss of biodiversity, contamination of soil, groundwater, and surface water by chemicals from mining processes. Besides creating environmental damage and contamination resulting from the leakage of chemicals, also affect the health of the local population. I guess we're on a need-to-know basis. We don't need to know, and we don't really count, right? It's like that little Twitter war that's going on Twitter about the Democrats, you know. They are bashing Bernie bots. Anybody who still talks about the Democrats stealing the primary, they're pretty effectively convinced their base that that's all just a made-up story, just like the GOP convinced their base that Bush stealing the election in 2000 was a made-up story. The Democratic Party has become the GOP completely. This is why we're in such terrible straits, because we have nothing but corruption at the deepest level in every area of our government. And if you speak out about nuclear, or you speak out against strip mining, or you speak out against so-called market forces, you're considered a radical. Like, of course, we're going to acknowledge that market forces are what's at play. And actually, creating a world where we are relying on market forces to drive us into the future is driving us off the cliff. Market forces, the military-industrial complex has failed us 100%. I do not comprehend why a single human being would not become a conscientious objector if they were in the military. All we have to do is look at the lunatics on television that are running our military. Look at their graven faces. Look at their faces. Those are faces of murderers. They know they're sending their young men in to conduct atrocities, and then to come back and keep their mouth shut about it, which is another atrocity. Well, folks, this conversation certainly went in a different turn than I did, because I've been unable to connect with our guest, and really, he's completely offline, so maybe something happened with his phone lines. I have been unable to get in touch with him. I'm going to give him a try again. Let's see, maybe we can talk to him again. Let's see if that happens. Absolutely not. It's not happening. So, no. So we're not there. Definitely not there. Bummer, dude. That would have been pretty good, but it's not. Okay, it's one of those days. That's all right. I can handle it. It's not the worst that we've had. So I do want to direct you to Shamanic Voyages on Facebook, just as it's spelled, Shamanic Voyages. That's Crow's website. His Facebook page and his website is called shamanicvoyages.com. And I would really strongly suggest people to get behind this idea of saving our indigenous people and saving our practices of true healing and true spiritual connection. And it doesn't exclude us from adopting more modern ideas of what God is, but it does keep us connected to what is real and what is really meant, what we've been given, what our ancestors taught us. Wow. Kind of sad about it. And they're actually moving full speed ahead on the Noyon Mountain. You can take a look and see they're moving full speed ahead. If you go to the Googles, you just look for the little white spots and zoom in there, and you will see nothing but mining destruction, like a wasteland of mountainous areas, just strip mining on top of strip mining, and areas of just white ashen waste that happens when you do strip mining. So I don't know about you folks, but I'm so over this framework of we have to sit down and be quiet, and we have to just accept what's going on. And I honestly don't comprehend how anybody could support the presidency of Donald Trump at this point. They are completely corrupt beyond corruption. And in fact, I suggest everyone go and study exactly what happened in Chile. I think it was 1972, 1970, something like that, 76. I'll have to Google it. When Allende was so-called overthrown, and we saw the helicopters and there was a military coup. Well, actually, that was all the CIA installing Pinochet and murdering Allende, and installing Pinochet and his gang of thugs and all of their Congress who pat him on the back and let him stay in office for 15 years, folks. Through brutality, hundreds, thousands of people disappeared. Not unlike what is happening in our own prison system, where the ICE picks people up and they get lost. We have no idea where they're at. So we're headed that. If you think that we can't head there, think again, folks. We can. This is why it's really, I don't call it the resistance. I call it being an American, standing up for our Constitution. I read into the emoluments clause. There's some people suing him, but the fact is, Congress can allow the president to take profit from other countries. So if this Congress decides they want to allow it, and they have the power to do it, Donald Trump won't be breaking the emoluments clause. Although what he is breaking is his transaction and lying and obstructing. He's obstructing justice and lying about his connections to Russia. But, the guy lies at everybody. He's, in 5 months, has destroyed America's credibility around the world. Nobody in this entire planet respects America now at all. Even a half of a shred of American reputation has been left. We're selling arms to one of the worst civil rights perpetrators on the planet. We just sold $110 billion to Saudi Arabia, which, by the way, there's huge movements, and I encourage you to join into this too, to stop that. Because just because old Donald Trump wants to give our enemies weapons, and that's his job plan for America, to have us build weapons for Saudi Arabia, does not have to be our reality. We need money to save our planet. We need to be able to pull the military budget back in and really protect our people. Develop whole new industries on how can we reverse the chemicals, how can we reverse the nuclear pollution. We have chemical pollution, nuclear pollution. I don't know. Let's take a quick look and see what the nuclear news is this morning. How about that? See what the nuclear alert is. Haven't done that. We have about 10 minutes. So I'm going to just plug in the nuclear alerts from the, see if we can get those. The tracking center. Wow. NRC notification report for June 12, 2017. Let's take a look at this. Are they going to tell us it's a non-emergency out in Texas? That was what? Radiography source failed to retract. Okay, non-emergency. Elevated radiation levels at radio pharmacy. So that's a non-emergency too. Don't worry about it. A radio pharmacy with a cyclotron reported high area dosimetry readings inside their facility. So it's inside their facility. The dose in the workstation in the adjoining office was 154.7 rem. This exceeds dose limit level contamination, but don't worry. No harm to human health was found. So we don't have to worry about it because it's far away from us. So it's not on our neck of the woods. How about that? In Braidwood, there's a power reactor in Illinois. Oh, man, those Illinois reactors, they are definitely falling apart. Non-emergency offsite notification requirement. So what happened with this? Water from the circulating water blowdown valve building in the area had been pumped onto the ground outside the BD building during maintenance activity. So that's what they do. They normally do these things. Within 4 hours of the state, the actions were notified. No harm to human health. Sorry, even though there was high levels of tritium, no harm to human health. So don't worry your pretty little head about it. And so how is it? Okay, so that was for the 13th, which is today. So let's see what they did yesterday. B&W Nuclear Operating Group, uranium fuel fabrication, non-emergency, unanalyzed condition. Don't you love this? Unanalyzed condition due to a chemical processing malfunction. So I wonder how many of the people in this facility are going to end up like Larry Bergen, not even being told that they're being exposed to radioactive contamination. Wow. So let's see what they said. They have 2 updates here in the evaluation of the event. What was the description of the event? Let's see. They use all these words. One of the corrective actions in response to the apparent violation of big long numbers was to conduct the extent of cause review involving ancillary systems, processed water, nitric acid, HF acid, compressed air, steam in our uranium recovery and specialty facility to verify these systems have documented accident scenarios as needed to meet the requirements. So this is where we're at. They have a bunch of numbers and a bunch of math that's going to tell them that none of this is harmful. I can't read these things, man. They just make me so mad. Baxter Healthcare Corporation and Arkansas Department of Health, non-emergency. The fixed gauge, another one of those broken gauges. I think they make the gauges just to break. This is a bad thing. Emerson Process Management, Fisher Controls International. Interim evaluation of deviation. This was on 5/9. And where is this? This is in Marshalltown, Iowa. So living in Marshalltown, Iowa, you probably think that you're safe, but you are not safe. The following report was received via email. Fisher Controls International is providing required interim report notification of potential failure to comply with minimal wall requirements in the packing box region of Posey seal valves. Wow. Let's see. Let's look to the update. No harm to human health. Okay. Fisher Engineering identified potential minimum wall thickness issue on 14-inch post seal type A11 body drawing in the processes of fulfilling an order. The valve body drawing was such that it was possible to machine the packing box region of the valve body neck within drawing specified tolerance, but failed to meet the wall thickness as required. This is just, honestly, this makes me just so mad. The action required, Fisher has revised its drawing, so don't worry about it. They're going to fix it, folks. We trust them, right? We trust them to fix it because this is what they do. Look at this. Curtis Wright Flow Control Company, Curtis Wright. Interim evaluation of deviation, potential defect in gray boot socket contracts. The letter issued to provide an interim notification of potential defect in certain lots of gray boot socket contracts supplied with EQ qualified gray boot connector kits. On March 16, 2017, Curtis Wright Nuclear Division Huntsville operation was contacted by Georgia Powerboat Nuclear Power Plant concerning a potential defect where the socket contacts tines were in a relaxed state. So this is the updated. Listen to this. For additional information, these are the list of the affected sites. Oh my God, a list of the affected sites. Arkansas Nuclear 1, Bruce Nuclear Power Development, Brunswick, Callaway, Calvert Cliffs, Clinton, Columbia, Cooper. Columbia is in my neck of the woods, folks. C-Team CRIT, Davis Bessie, Diablo Canyon, Duane Arnold, Farley, FMM, Fort Calhoun, Gentilly, Gina, Haddam Neck, Harris, Indian Point, Kewanee, LaSalle, Limerick, Milestone, 9 Mile Point, North Anna, Oconee, Oyster Creek, Peach Bottom, Pilgrim Point Beach, Prairie Island, Quad Cities, River Bend, St. Lucie, Santa Onofre, Sizewell Beach, South Texas, Summer, Turkey Point, Vermont Yankee, Vodal, Waterford, Wolsong, and Zion. Oh my gosh. Wow. Let's read on May 31st, Curtis Wright Nuclear Division Huntsville operation issued a letter documenting final findings regarding a potential defect concerning model GB1 gray boot kits supplied with 2-tine silver-plated 12 to 14 AGW contracts. Please find that letter attached. Pursuant to the attached letter, please find a list of the affected purchase orders. So we have all these plants that they have just notified. To confirm this deviation is not present in the existing inventory or future purchase list, the following corrective actions have been or will be implemented by Curtis Wright. Micro-hardness testing was performed on all socket contact lots and inventory to verify their acceptability. Results confirmed that all lots were acceptable. Acceptable criteria for dedication of sock contacts will be revised to include verification of acceptable contact hardness. This corrective action will be completed on June 9, 2007. No dedication of socket contacts will be performed until this corrective action is complete. Wow, this is where I wish that I could speak to minds like Larry Woods who understand what these things mean. But this seems pretty grave that there's a defective part that affects so many of these nuclear sites. Wow. Well, we have less than a minute left. I want to thank you for joining us, and thanks for hanging in there. As you have seen, things happen when you're doing live radio. We lost our guest, and I just had to move on. I appreciate you joining us and sharing your hour with us in the morning. I know that this is not an easy thing to turn on and listen to. I mean, I just read a list of over 20 facilities that we have not been notified have defective parts. Many of you probably live near these facilities. I suggest you call them. I'm calling up Columbia Generating Station and finding out. Put your courage feet on, you guys. Take some action. It does matter. Remember, take care of yourself and find out the facts for yourself. Put your courage feet on. Seriously, take action. It does matter. Can't change it. Take care.
This is Ozzy Skateboard, and you're listening to UCY.TV.
It's summer. And